The Intuitive Wellness Cafe podcast is hosted by me, intuitive eating wellness coach Deanna Kozarov. My mission is to show women that health and wellness can be achieved without the pursuit of weight loss, counting calories, and spending hours in the gym punishing yourself. I am taking back health and wellness from diet culture and showing women that they don't have to succumb to diet culture standards to feel good in their body and find joy in life. I'll be coming on the podcast to talk about a variety of topics that will help you on your journey to food freedom, movement, and how to care for your body and life. It is my hope that by having this podcast, you will have the mental and emotional space freed up to enjoy life instead of constantly worrying and stressing over food and exercise, and live the life that you deserve. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Intuitive Wellness Cafe. I hope you are well and good. I'm going to talk today about not wanting to diet anymore, not wanting to subscribe to diet culture standards and all of that, but still having that deep down desire to still lose weight. And before I start, I just want to remind you about my free starter guide, Making Peace with Your Plate. That will be available at the link in the show notes. It will give you quick tips that you can start today when it comes to having a much calmer, stress-free relationship with food in your body. So be sure to grab that. Now, this episode cannot be more timely. I usually write out my episodes ahead of time, and I've had this one saved up for a while. And it just so happens that this past weekend, before I recorded this episode, I had my annual wellness gynae appointment. And the hospital system that I go to, it's like one of the top ones in the Midwest. They have been, I noticed, like when I have my appointments there, they don't dwell too much on weight or will approach you about it, about like, oh, you need to lose weight. I've noticed like their approach is very like, are you concerned with your weight, or do you have anything that you want to bring up? Are you worried about your weight? And they usually turn that question to you, and you respond the way you want to respond. I'm sure I could have had the option of them not weighing me at all. So, because you do have that option, by the way, if you go to a doctor's office and they want to weigh you, you have the right actually to refuse it if you want to, or if you need to get weighed, like you absolutely have to get weighed, and they're just like really, really pressing for you to get on the scale. You can also opt to like not look at the scale or do it with your back turned. So you do have those options if they try to give you a hard time. But in this hospital system, they actually don't. They weigh you and they move on. So of course, I haven't weighed myself since I started my intuitive eating journey. I just think the scale is not a very reliable tool of how one can assess for their health. So I did what I had to do. I got on the scale. I didn't look at the scale. I didn't look at it, and got my exam and all that, and moved on with my day. And then they email you like the notes of like what you discussed with the doctor, and the vitals. They put all that down, and I didn't even realize that they put. I don't know, maybe because I just haven't been paying attention. But I didn't notice that they, until I saw it, that they add the weight actually to the notes too of what of what they weighed you. And I saw the number, and I did kind of was taken aback, because I was like, really? Like, that was like my first reaction. Like, I am this weight, I was like, oh, okay. Oh gosh. All right. My vitals were good. I didn't reflect on my weight, because weight is not a behavior. It's not. And, so I just, I brushed it off, and of course I pulled all my tools out to, navigate, through that kind of surprising number that I saw. And then it just so happened that this episode I'm recording today. So I just think it's like, so I don't know. I just think it's interesting how that kind of like aligned with what I'm talking about today. And you may be going through the same thing. You may love the idea of like not having to diet anymore and do away, diet culture for good. And the thought of not having to also binge anymore and can still form healthy habits without the burden of counting calories and extensive exercise and all that sounds really refreshing. It's like, finally, like, I don't have to do this yo-yo dieting anymore. Like, it's like very exhausting. And I'm just, and you're glad that you now can actually have peace with food and your body and even the way you approach exercise. But it's a given that, of course, through your intuitive eating and intuitive wellness journey, that in the back of your mind, you're still kind of like, gosh, I do want to lose weight. It does come up. It does come up often in a lot of women. And, despite knowing all of this, you still might desire to lose weight. And I'm here to tell you that that's perfectly normal. Because let's face it, of course you want to lose weight. Like, all around us constantly, the diet culture industry is constantly like reminding you, and it's in your face, that you must lose weight in order to be healthy, and I give my clients a safe space to explore and have these thoughts. I don't, judge them or push them away if they actually have that in their minds still. Our society, unfortunately, is fat phobic and can be cruel to people who are in larger bodies. And we fear we won't be accepted or loved if we gain weight or be in a larger body. So it's perfectly normal to have these thoughts, of course. Like, that's not surprising. And diet culture is just not going anywhere anytime soon. It's a $1 billion industry. I think I was in a workshop the other day, and the lady said, I can't remember the exact number. It was something like $9 billion industry. She might have even said 94 billion, which I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, it's a $1 billion industry. They pull all the stops to convince you that you have to lose weight in order to be an upstanding citizen in this world. They will do anything to convince you of that. And unfortunately, a lot of people have those thoughts and beliefs, and you can't change everyone's thoughts and beliefs in your circle around weight, for example, unless they are willing to be open to change, which is why changing your own beliefs and thoughts about weight is so important to protect you from the diet culture noise around you. And just remember that weight is not a behavior or defines health. Your behaviors consist of other factors that can define health, like how is your sleep? Are you moving your body? How is your stress levels? How is your job? Are you connecting with others? Like, so many things can contribute to your health. And when I hear my friends and families talk about the woes of needing to lose weight or make an observation that someone has gained weight, I now have the capacity to think that they too have been swayed by diet culture messages, and it is not their fault either. In their eyes, being in a smaller body makes them feel safe because, like I said, let's face it, society is fat phobic. Like, people fear being fat. So, the first one of the first things that comes to mind for people is that they want to be safe. They want to feel safe, and it's a totally normal feeling. And of course, we can't immediately right away be like, okay, I am going to have this belief that dieting is not the way to go and I don't need to lose weight. What we have to do is build up on our belief. So you can reframe it as, I am open to believing that my weight does not define my health. And there are other areas that I can work on that would help define my health, like how I want to feel and how I want to be, my definition of healthy, not diet culture standards healthy, whatever that may be. There's a lot of mixed messages and confusing messages out there. There really is. It's a lot. So I also explore this with my clients in my one-to-one private coaching program. There's a lot to this, that way more than I can really sum up in a podcast episode. There's just, a lot going on, a lot of unpacking that has to be done. But just remember that even though you are done with diet culture, you don't want to keep on trying to restrict and diet and do these excessive workouts and whatnot. At the end of the day, there may be times where you're like, yeah, but it would be nice, right? To like lose a little weight so that I won't be always like fat shamed and judged and being looked at as if someone that doesn't want to be healthy. And this is, like I said, why we have to work on our beliefs on what we think is healthy for us, not what society thinks. And that does take time and that takes practice. And that does involve, like I said, practicing, those beliefs and remembering that it's not a fact. It's not a fact that you're not healthy just because of your weight or your weight gain. Like I said, weight is not a behavior. Weight is not a behavior. Because if you say you did lose weight, like, okay, you lost weight. Well, how did you get there to lose weight? Was it did you do a lot of unhealthy behaviors in order to lose that weight? Do you know what I mean? People do. They do lose weight. But, if you remember in my previous episodes, I mentioned that dieting doesn't work. People usually gain the weight back and even more. And I think I also saw another statistic. It's like usually 3 to 5 years after dieting that usually the weight comes back, if not more. So, and you can always go to intuitiveeating.org. There's a lot of like resources and research and studies done on this whole concept of, diets are not working or do not work. And if anything, you end up gaining the weight back. So I would definitely check those resources and those research studies on that site. It's a pretty reliable resource. So definitely go there if you wanted to take a look at the literature around all of this. And yeah, that's it from me. So when you want to work on things like what we talked about today, as well as other aspects of our health that does not require dieting or obsessive workouts, I do have a one-to-one private coaching program. I'll add the link in my show notes to the details of my program, which will have a link to apply. So go ahead and apply, and I will then respond back to you and we can go from there. And as always, please leave a review, share this episode and podcasts with others that you feel would benefit. This will help to get the word out more about this podcast and the messages that I talk about here. Thank you for listening, and I will chat with you on the next episode.